It's Cosmic Day on the Extreme channel. We are taking an in-depth look at this awesome piece. Welcome to the Extreme channel. My name is Mr. X. Before we get started, I want to let you guys know something. This Emperor throne chair that I'm sitting in, by the way, you can check out the review right here. It makes noise when I move. I'm not farting when you hear that. I am farting throughout the review, but mine are very silent, so I just wanted to let you know. Second, we're officially reviewing this SIdeshow Galactus Maquette. It's an older piece. I want to say it's almost 10 years old. But let's jump into this piece. I went ahead and decided to review him because recently I launched a custom Galactus on Throne video. You can check that out right here, or it may have been right here. But I had a screenshot of him next to him, so since I had him out, I thought I might as well go ahead and review him. And what's really interesting is I don't have a lot of information on this guy. I bought him secondhand about 4 years ago. He's been out for much longer, so some of my information may be incorrect, and I do apologize for that. But let's just dive in and see what we can figure out. So first of all, as I said, he is made by SIdeshow Collectibles, and this is Galactus. Galactus is the devourer of worlds. He is one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe, arguably, by some people, the most powerful being. I like him so much because he is the arch enemy and the creator of my favorite character, Silver Surfer, as you saw in the beginning. And I think those two just pair together awesome. And at the end of the video, I will show you a picture of him with that Silver Surfer and another Silver Surfer. Really quick before we get started, we are actually giving away these two Venom statues right here. If you want to know how to win these, stay tuned towards the end of the video and you can find out. But regarding this SIdeshow Galactus Maquette, so Maquette means an undetermined scale. Sometimes they use it for 1/4 scale, sometimes they just use it in general. But Galactus is technically 30 feet tall, and his size varies a little bit. So let's get his dimensions. I believe they say this is 33 inches tall. Like I said, some of the information I actually don't have, so I had to look some stuff up, and there wasn't really much out there. So he is 33 inches tall. His widest point on the base is about 16 inches. I'm sure the depth is the same, and it's pretty similar with his hand. A little more outstretched. You can check out SIdeshow's website for exact dimensions. So if he is supposed to be 30 feet tall, that would be 30 times 12, 360 inches divided by 33. Is somewhere between 10 and 11, so this is like 1/10, 1/11 scale, somewhere in that range. He's an amazing piece, and there's not a lot of Galactus options out there, and of course you couldn't do a true 1/4 scale because that would be 8 feet tall, somewhere in that range, 7, 8 feet tall. I love him. I absolutely love him. He's hard to find, so originally he retailed for $799. And nowadays, you will be lucky to get him for $1,200, if not around that $1,500 mark. Sometimes you can get him a little bit cheaper if you're patient. But one of the things about him is I don't know the edition size. I could not find it online. I actually lifted up the bottom, which was really scary, and it says limited edition. So I have no idea what the edition size is. If someone knows in the comments, go ahead and please put that in the comment below. Let's dive right into the review, starting with the concept of this piece. Concept is, does it make sense? Is it flow with the character? Is it cool? And I think there's no exception to this. They nailed Galactus. They have this base, which does have some light up features we're going to talk about in design. It's very futuristic, very techy. And as you move up Galactus, you see humanoid stuff, you see high-tech stuff, because I don't really know the origins of Galactus. I don't know if they ever explain it in the comics. Maybe, again, someone can comment about that. He's all powerful. He's hard to beat. He floats around the universe. He needs worlds to consume. He's in a museum pose. And one thing I really like is that they went with the maquette. They went with a 33-inch tall guy to really show his power. He commands a lot of presence. And he's out there with his arms outstretching. We'll show a few switch out options when we get to design that I don't like to display him with because I still think this just looks very powerful, very godlike. And as you move up, the portrait I have on his face is a very stoic. You know, the coolest thing is when you can show power without having to flex your muscle, and that's what I think of with Galactus. And he's such a weird looking design character if you think about it. I'm used to it because I've read about Galactus for 30 years, but I mean, he's just a really, really interesting guy, and the colors on this just pop, which we're going to talk about in paint and sculpt. I think the concept is awesome. I think it's a 4 out of 5. I think they nailed the concept on Galactus. Not sure how many different ways you could display him. Next is design. With design, we talk about displayability. One big negative is it's so big it takes up a lot of room, but the base really doesn't nowadays. We see a lot of 1/4 scales with much bigger bases, especially in the custom world, and even some licensed ones. So I'm okay with that. The height, as I said earlier with the concept, if he was too short, it would take away from the magnitude of Galactus, so I think that's smart. I think the body was one piece, the arms were one piece, and the ears came off. And then you have the base, and the base does have a light up feature that shoots all the way through Galactus. Let's take a look at that. Right here is him not lit up. And then here he is with the AC adapter lit up. And I'm not normally a fan of light up features, but the fact that you can plug this in so you can connect it to your other lights and it illuminates really well, I like it a lot. Some switch outs he has that I never display. First, let me show you. So he has two mouth plates / portraits. The first is this stoic one that I have displayed. And then here's a stock photo of the grimacing one that I left in the box. And then also you can attach his heralds. So here you have Silver Surfer, and I didn't do this because I have him, as you saw in the intro, and you'll see at the end, next to an actual Silver Surfer. While the scale of those don't make sense, they still look really good together. So design-wise, really no issues, anything going on. One of the things we're gonna find in the paint and sculpt is there's a lot of wear on this, and I don't know if it's wear from aging. I don't know if it's wear from deliberate paint and sculpt when they did it originally, or if that's just maybe the QC process was there. So mine, there's a lot of questionable stuff on, if it was deliberate, I actually kind of like it. If it's not, mine's just deteriorating away, well, I guess I'm never gonna sell this guy, which I probably wouldn't, because Silver Surfer and Galactus are some of my favorite to put together. So I think that gives us a 3 out of 5 on the design, a V for very nice. Nothing exceptional, but it's good. Let's jump into the paint and sculpt of this piece. And as I alluded to just then, there's some things going on, and I don't know if it's just aging of the statue. I don't know if it came this way because of QC issues or if it was deliberate. So I'll talk about those as we go through them. But let's start with the base. Tons of different coloring on here. Not only do you have this rustic metal and silver and splotched kind of all over with a little bit of circuitry, but then you have kind of this copper dust on here. And I don't know if this is just on mine. I've never really noticed it before. I don't know if it's coming off or it was meant to be like this, so maybe someone can comment on that. Moving to Galactus with his boots, one of the things I spoke about in the review I previously did that I threw up there with the throne is he was not as shiny as this guy is. This guy's extremely shiny, which I like. And you'll probably see some of the light reflect in that, but his boots, these purplish, futuristic, army-style boots with some silver lining and other parts in there, almost some coils around it. And this is where you see some of that wear. You see some of the black around it. And it looks like this is intentional. It could be some aging, I'm not sure, but just some fading at some of those parts, maybe bad QC. And then his pants are kind of a mix between these different purple shadowing and blue shadowing, and you see some musculature, and this is what I talked about earlier. We don't know if Galactus is human or tech or maybe a combination of both. But one thing I do know about Galactus is he's probably one of the few men who can wear a skirt and no one can give him any shit about it. So he has this skirt that almost looks like there's circuitry on it. It's this different shade of purple than you find anywhere else in his costume. Looks really good. I like what they did. It just, like I said, for a character wearing a skirt, he's able to pull it off very, very well. Let's look at his torso, starting with the back. Some cool stuff going on here. More circuitry, kind of this, almost looks like a Matrix type plug-in that he has on the back, but underneath that you see some really good musculature with a different color of purple, almost like he's wearing a shirt with a pattern design on it, and then some black shading on that purple. The mixes between the different colors of blues and purples on Galactus are just really good everywhere. Let's look at the front of his torso, where he's got kind of an Iron Man symbol, but completely different. This is what lit up. And when I see things like this, it just really makes me wonder about the creators of these. You know, they started adding more and more of this type of stuff to the drawings, and it looks good. I don't know why I like it, but kind of this armored plate on top of it. Check out his arms. Good musculature on his arms. Couple different layering of almost looks like fabric and tech and armor on top of it. You see some more of that paint issues that I was talking about. Some black splotches in there. Here's his glove. High-tech gloves. Again, it looks like circuitry running through them. Very shiny purple color. And I think this is different from his boots. But it is very similar to his portrait. Let's look at his portrait right here. First, the skin tones on his faceplate. I like these a lot better than the Throne one I reviewed. The colorization is really good, the stoicness of it. And then just around his helmet or head, the circuitry, the different aspects going on. I like how it's the same on both sides. The symmetry of it, not only on the front here, but the back. Some more circuitry. Again, the way they just mix the colors on this really makes it pop. Which makes this very difficult to rate from a paint and sculpt. I think from a sculpt perspective, I think it's almost a rail, it's almost 4 out of 5, but I think the sculpt is good. And I don't know if this was traditionally sculpted, if this was digitally sculpted, because it is a little bit of an older piece. Now the paint, here's my issue with the paint. If some of these issues are QC issues, or if it was meant to look like this, I don't know, because I see a lot of issues that pops up, but I love the contrast of colors. I love the shadowing that they did in there, so I'm gonna give the paint a 4 out of 5. I do like it a lot. It's really what makes Galactus who he is. If he was some boring colors, I don't think he'd command as much presence. Value, he's an older piece, so we're not gonna grade that. Because like I said, he can go anywhere from 1,000 to honestly up to 2,000 if someone is a sucker for that much. But I think overall, commanding presence. One of my favorite characters, I'm a little biased. He's definitely a rail statue. He's not a grail, but he's close to it. Now, if you want to know how to win those Venom statues, first thing you need to do is go ahead and comment below which you liked better, this Galactus or the Galactus on Throne I did a few days ago. Next thing is make sure you have liked this video, and if you have not, subscribe and make sure to hit that bell notification so you see when that prize video drops. Also, we are doing smaller prizes between now and then and lots of prizes after that in case you don't want Venom or you miss it. Here he is set up with my favorite character and my favorite statue. This statue I actually have reviewed. I think it was the second video I ever did on YouTube. There's actually a link right here. And before you go and watch it, it is horrible. It is embarrassing for me to watch, but if you think that's bad, you should watch Gem Mint review this guy. Here's a link to that. It was one of his first reviews, so I'm sure he appreciated me throwing that up there. But here's a picture of these guys where they are in my permanent display with another custom surfer. But as I said, they just look phenomenal together, even though the scales don't match. Probably my favorite setup right here. But I appreciate you guys watching. Take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow.